So the thing is, the more you try to get to a 100% foolproof safe withdrawal rate, the more risk you have of working too long during your accumulation phase to save more. And secondly, you may not be spending enough in retirement when you could be using it in your active retirement years. So don't forget to strike a balance between being risk averse and actually enjoying your life. You don't have to wait until you reach financial independence to start enjoying your life. You can do that much earlier and start living a life that you love and that's true to you. Welcome to Freedom Before FIRE. Using FIRE and life design techniques, we help you create freedom on your way to FIRE instead of waiting until you're retired to do the things that light you up. I'm your host Greg, a FIRE movement and life design enthusiast. If you're itching to get freedom now, then let's do this. Hello there, and thank you for tuning in to another episode. As you might know, one of the tenets of the FIRE movement is using what's called the 4% rule to calculate your FIRE number, which is basically your total retirement nest egg. 4% being how much you can safely withdraw from your nest egg when retired without running out. So this was introduced by the legendary Bill Bengan in 1994 and later confirmed 4 years later by 3 finance professors at Trinity University, and which has now become known as the Trinity Study. Now this rule, although more of a rule of thumb, has been used for retirement calculations for 30 years now. However, this year in 2025, Bill Bengan, who introduced the rule back then, has now updated this number to 4.7% in his new book, which is fantastic. And so there's 2 immediate benefits to this. The first one being we can actually take out a little bit more money in retirement. And the second one is it can actually reduce our timeline to get to retirement. And those are the 2 things I'll be expanding on today. Okay, so let's look at some quick scenarios to highlight these benefits. So the first one is, imagine you're entering retirement and you estimate your annual expenses to be, say, $40,000 per year. Using the original 4% rule, that means you would have accumulated a nest egg of around $1 million USD because withdrawing 4% per year from $1 million would give you $40,000 a year. Now with the new 4.7% rule, this means you could actually withdraw $47,000 instead. Okay, so let's look at another scenario where someone's still on the FI journey. So using the same figures earlier, instead of having to amass 1 million USD as a FIRE number, which is based on the original 4% rule, now using the new 4.7% rule, this drops your FIRE number to around 850,000, so around 150k less. Meaning this will shave off a few years of your time to get to FI. How awesome is that? Now there's actually some misconceptions about the 4% rule, and of course now the 4.7% rule. And this could actually play into our advantage even more. One of them is the rule is actually super conservative. It's literally a worst case scenario. I mean, Bill Bengan himself actually uses a 4.9% withdrawal rate in his current retirement now. And he actually thinks that anyone retiring in today's current economic climate could have a safe withdrawal rate of around 5.25 to 5.5%. Now it doesn't actually stop there. If we looked at the actual research, even 5.5% looks conservative. So what he actually done to get to his number was he tested 400 different retirement scenarios over a long period. Of the 400 scenarios, only one needed to use the 4.7% withdrawal rate. And that was someone retiring in the early 70s where they experienced double-digit inflation rates. Now this is where it gets interesting because most of the other 399 scenarios had an average withdrawal rate of around 7%. So 4.7% is actually playing it extremely safe. Now the other thing to note is there's even more factors which reduces the risk even more. And these are not even considered in the calculation. And that is other sources of income. So the 4.7% rule is based on you living completely off your portfolio and does not include other income you might get in retirement. So for example, maybe you're doing part-time work, your money from Social Security or your state pension, side hustle income, gifts and inheritance. The likelihood of you not earning another pound or dollar during retirement is really low, especially for those early retirees who would definitely be doing something on the side. Okay, so what are the downsides to the 4.7% rule? Here are 4 watchouts. So one concern, especially for the FIRE community, is the duration of the rule. Bill Bengan's rule is based on a 30-year time horizon. Now the reason for this is because the aim of the study was based on traditional retirees, i.e. people retiring in their late 60s, and not for early retirees. So what people in the FIRE community was doing to counter this was using a lower rate, so around 3 to 3.5%. Based on the updated rule, Bill actually suggests for early retirees to use a rate of around 4.2 to 4.4%. Again, these are also very conservative. On the flip side, what is more likely to happen, especially if you're very sensible with your money, is that your portfolio could actually increase over your retirement. As an example, the blogger behind A Purple Life, she retired in 2020 with a net worth of 540k. 5 years later, her net worth rose to a whopping 970k, almost doubling. And that's thanks to the bull market we've been on since the pandemic. Okay, so watch out number 2 is the risk of working too much and not spending enough. So the thing is, the more you try to get to a 100% foolproof safe withdrawal rate, the more risk you have of working too long during your accumulation phase to save more. And secondly, you may not be spending enough in retirement when you could be using it in your active retirement years. So don't forget to strike a balance between being risk averse and actually enjoying your life. Okay, so watch out number 3 is being aware of what the rule is based on. So a couple of things. The rule is based on someone living in the US. It's also based on someone using tax sheltered accounts like 401ks and IRAs, and it does not take into account tax. As mentioned before, it's based on a 30-year horizon. It's also based on a number of different asset classes. So just note that anything outside of these parameters could change the rate slightly. So watch out number 4 is that 4.7% is not actually fixed. The rule mainly works if you adjust it every year based on the inflation rate at that time. So 4.7% is only the year 1 withdrawal rate. After that year, you literally throw 4.7% out the window and adjust for inflation the following year and then repeat. So for example, let's say you withdraw $47,000 on year 1. In year 2, you increase it by inflation, so let's say 3%. So you take out $48,410 and so on. Okay, so to conclude, the updated rule gives us a little bit more flexibility in our calculations. It can help us to get to FI faster and also helps us spend more during retirement. Okay, so before we wrap up, although the numbers are important, the most important things to focus on, in my book, are the things that really matter to you, like family, purpose, and living your best life. So I just want to leave you something Bill Bengan himself mentioned. So he said, "For me, the important thing is to focus on 3 things: family, friends, and passions in your life. If you have those 3 in your life and you cultivate them, you're probably going to have a successful life and a successful retirement because they're really all the things that matter." Alright, that's what I have for you today. If you learned just one thing that would help you on your journey, do consider leaving a 5-star rating on your podcast app and clicking follow for more about alternative FIRE strategies, purpose, and life design. Have a great rest of the week, and as always, practice gratitude, live life by your design, and do things that make you smile. You got this.